Yeah.
Did you raise it?
All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome on this rainy Wednesday. Happy to see everybody again after our long break. I know we're all eager to hear about the Ting video game competition.
Ting Gaming Tournament.
Ting Gaming Tournament and the Good Game Fest. But before we get into that, I'm just going to go over what we're all about here at 1 Million Cups and some of our mission. Our mission here at 1MC Westminster and at all the 1 Million Cups is to lower the barrier for access to education, resources, and connections for entrepreneurs. Without the pillars and our core program, this mission cannot be accomplished. So what are we looking for? We're looking for presentations, not pitches, and connection, not networking. We really want to get to know your business and the challenges you face so that we can connect you to all the great resources we have in our community. We are for the community, by the community. Nobody here has ownership of 1 Million Cups Westminster, and nobody is paid to do 1MC. And we are radically and intentionally inclusive. We're always looking for new entrepreneurs and business-minded people to connect with. We meet every week, typically Wednesdays at 9 a.m. We have 2 presenters whenever possible. Presenters' organizations are less than 5 years old and willing to ask for help because we end every session with what can we as a community do to help you. And here's our organizing team: Graham Dodge, Russ Hammett, Val Giavignoni, John Wheatman, Tina Thomas, myself, Julia Stapp, and Gabby Rose. That's it. Yeah. All right, and with that, I guess I will introduce who's going first. Vicky. All right, with that, I will introduce Vicky.
Well, let me get the
Ting.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
absolutely.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Morning.
I thought since we're in the middle of a hurricane, I would wear a bright yellow shirt, so maybe some nice contrast.
Thank you
right?
for being the sunshine.
Oh, I try. Yeah, so I'm really excited to be here with you all this morning to talk about gaming, which is a big hobby of mine. I have a 6-year-old son. We play a lot of Super Smash Brothers and Lego Ninjago, so to be a part of a company who supports something like gaming and recognizes the benefits of it, particularly from like a community creating and what education opportunities it can bring, is really cool, because a lot of times people think, you just sit and gaming is mindless and it's just wasting kids' brains, and well, some of that might be true. There's a lot of benefits to it as well. So I'm Vicki Slinkman, and I'm the marketing manager for Ting here in Westminster. I've been with Ting for about 2.5 months, but prior to that I've been a customer for about 3 years. So I just wanted to give a quick background on Ting for anybody who doesn't know. Ting is a high-speed internet service provider. We pride ourselves on being very reliable in the provision of our gigabyte internet. We are very customer friendly. If any of you are customers and have had the pleasure of talking to our customer support team, you'd recognize that, which is really a rarity. I actually had to tell my husband once to get off the phone with a customer support rep because they were having a nice chat about craft beer. And I'm like, he has to help somebody else, like get off the phone. We pride ourselves on having just very simple and honest pricing. There's no upcharges, there's no hidden fees, and then of course we have a commitment to the community and supporting local entrepreneurship, innovation, and education. And so some of the things that we've been a part of this year have been the Carroll Business Challenge. The makerspace that was formerly at our Ting office is moving to the library at the Exploration Commons. And then we are also a sponsor of the Good Game Fest, and look forward to hopefully seeing all of you there. And my team will be competing in the business battle on Sunday, so be prepared if anybody else is going to compete. Looking at you. So what I came here today to talk about was the Ting gaming tournament. So this is a partnership between Ting and a company that kind of does this all the time. It's really their bread and butter. So it's the high school esports league powered by Generation Esports.
And a company that kind of
Sorry.
That is not a comfortable feeling to hear yourself while you're talking. Is that like, did anybody ever used to call into the radio to talk to a DJ and then hear themselves back? Yeah. And you guys are like, what's radio? So this will be primarily an online gaming tournament, so a little bit different than what Magic is doing with the Good Game Fest. We'll kick off in September with a Rocket League tournament, but then we will have other tournaments in the coming months with things like Super Smash Brothers. And why we're doing this is really because we want to empower high school students to use gaming to create a community, to build their leadership skills, to have teamwork and do it in a fun way that's not like a group project for school, but another way to think about community building. And the great part is that it is free to them and their families, so there's absolutely no cost associated with registration. And then so a little bit of the nitty gritty, particularly with Rocket League. Each of the competitions is a best of 7. There's multiple competitions throughout September. There's 2 queue times a day. Generation Esports has a leaderboard which they use to match up contestants to one another. And then they have these really awesome prizes that they can compete for. It's shown here up to $10,000, but it's things like gift cards, jerseys for their teams, gaming systems, and then we also have, maybe for some who aren't as experienced at gaming, there's weekly raffles, so they even can have a chance to win just solely based on participation. So if you're interested in learning more, please feel free to visit generationesports.com/Ting, and you can get all the information you need. And if you have high school student 13 or older that would be interested in participating, please encourage them to do so because it's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you. Any questions?
Yes, any questions from the community here? And if you're on Facebook Live, we can see your comments, so be sure to ask any questions there.
I have a question.
Yes, Tina.
Okay, so the scope of the tournament, it's obviously it's more than just our region.
Yes.
Help me understand you were saying 13 and older, so the age span and then the geographical region. Like for instance, my daughter's fiance is a big gamer, but I don't know if he knows about Ting yet because he just moved into the area. So what would I say to him about this?
Sure, so I would just tell them that if you're interested in competing in online gaming and having great prizes and having a lot of it handled, the logistics handled for you, then sign up. Like, it's really as simple as that. It doesn't have to be a pitch about Ting or about Generation Esports. There are some of our Ting towns around the US that are going to have physical pop-ups. Some of them in schools, some of them at organizations like the Boys and Girls Club. I'm considering doing one next year. Had an opportunity to do one this year, but didn't feel that it was appropriate given that we're already having a very large in-person gaming festival. So we might look into next year. But really, it's open to anyone as long as they're of the appropriate age.
And what is the difference between the in-person pop-ups and is there like a virtual opportunity to game virtually?
Yeah, so the in-person pop-up is an opportunity to have more VR opportunities. So they're going to have that. They also have the ability for everyone to physically be together as a team and play. Whereas in a virtual opportunity, all those kids could be together, but they could also be, each of, at their own homes playing. So it's more just an opportunity to have, go out, see other kids, be in more of an event type environment. But all the prizes are typically the same and the contest itself is the same. It's just a little bit more enriching being able to be face-to-face, food, music, all that sort of stuff.
Question. With the team concept, how many people are on a team, and then is there individual competition as well?
So I do not know that we have a limit on the max number of people that can be on a team. Typically it's 3, but I'll double check on that and see if there's a limit. And I don't believe right now that there's individual competitions, but other than what you can enter in for a raffle, but I'll check on that as well.
All right, on Facebook, Val, Givignoni, one of our fellow
Hi, Val.
organizers, says, "Nice job, Vicky."
Thanks.
And Jenna Shriver from Together Studio says, "Good morning. Wish I could have made it in person today. Sorry, Jenna. You're missing out on the Genie Bird baked goods." Anyone else have a question?
I have a fun question.
Oh, I love fun questions.
Rick Linebot from Startup Portal.
Is it just Rocket League?
No, Rocket League to start, but then there will be others. So Super Smash Brothers, and then there's a few others which I can't remember off the top of my head, probably because I got the tornado warning at 4 a.m. But I will share what those other ones, are as well.
Is there an ability to slow down the ball in Rocket League so people like myself can play?
I think that would give you an unfair advantage. Yeah, I've been surprised the speed at which my child, who is only 6, could beat me at things, because I've been playing, video games since I was a kid, and I used to play like Dr. Mario with my mom, or then Street Fighter with my brother, and then my kid just picks up a controller and just destroys me in seconds, and I'm like, what happened? But they're so much more technologically savvy than we are.
And I will attest, when I had my office downtown, we had Ting. We brought a 360 Xbox, and the ping on that was like at 2, which in the video game world is like, whoa, fast. So
Yes, thank you. We definitely appeal to gamers who need to have that level of connectivity.
So I think you mentioned you have there's a matchmaking component.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Or?
I don't know the logistics of all the inner workings of Generation Esports system, but I can definitely dig more into their website and then send you that information.
Yeah,
I'm sure they have some sort of formula that calculates matching up players so that you don't end up like me walking into a Titanfall game and immediately getting sniped by some 5-year-old in San Francisco. So I'm sure there's some algorithm involved, but I can get you that information.
Jenna Shriver just wanted to add that she's sure her husband and sons would love an event like this. Come on, Jenna. You can play too.
Yeah, gaming is not exclusive
Yeah,
to...
bring out Global Media or Together Studios and compete in the biz battle at Good Game, and we'll be able to test your skills.
Yeah, I would love to have more competition.
Vicki, since this is one of the first times a lot of people are meeting you and seeing you as it relates to working at Ting, do you want to just give us a quick background on you and how you...
Oh, sure.
Prior to Ting?
Sure. So I'm a lifelong marketer, love marketing, love talking to people, kind of figuring out why people make the decisions that they do in relation to purchases. I've done marketing my entire career. Most recently, I was the director of partner marketing at Pearson in their online blended learning division. So I had a team that supported roughly 49 full-time virtual schools throughout the U.S. And it was a lot of fun being able to use technology to help kids with their education. Obviously that's become a much bigger thing in the past year, but Pearson through their Connections Academy schools has been doing it for almost 20 years. So that was a really great opportunity to be a part of that and use technology in education. But now I also really enjoy using technology to help people stay connected. I've lived in Westminster for 12 years. My husband, Brad, is a small business owner in town. He owns Westminster Security, so that's why we moved to Westminster. There's only so many Westminsters, Westminster, Colorado, Westminster Abbey, but the business works really well here. So have been here for 12 years and really love the mix of kind of, local and farmers markets and, great playgrounds and sense of community, but then also, the fact that we have, an autonomous corridor that's coming, or that we have high-speed fiber internet access. So I feel like it's that great blend of both. And then personally, like I said, I'm a gamer. I spend a lot of time with my son building Legos, doing creative things. We love to go herping. So, and for anybody who doesn't know, I know that as an odd word. It means you just basically go and look for snakes. Yeah.
Very
so that's
cool.
So since you mentioned the community,
Yes.
what kind of outreach is being done for those people kind of out in the more rural area for the video game contest specifically?
Sure. So the great thing about internet connectivity is that it can go anywhere. Most people have at least a telephone that has internet access enabled, and so the majority of the outreach that we're doing to promote the contest is through social media. and so many people are on Facebook and Instagram. So it's a really accessible way versus doing something that's more inaccessible, like cable television or broadcast television or something like that.
Any other questions for Vicky? I just think it's also funny that we have a Vicky and a Val associated with Ting now, and we've got Vicky and Val at Hans Pork and Beans doing the coffee roasting.
Yep, and I did have some of that coffee this past weekend.
Yeah.
Brad thought it was funny and was like, "Hey, look, they have a Vicky and Val coffee. Is it named after you guys?" I was like, "No," but yeah, I joked it was going to make it easier for people with the transition because they could just call me Val too. I spent 5 years in a company with the boss's boss calling me Veronica, so I was like, I answer to most V names.
Very good. All right, any other questions? Okay. All right.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Real quick, I just want to thank our sponsors for this event. Obviously, my employer, Magic, Mid-Atlantic Gigabit Innovation Collaboratory, is our community sponsor, and Genie Bird Bakery for providing the baked goods and the coffee this morning. And Furnace Hills Coffee, as always, still has their ongoing online discount for those of you who can't be here in person. You get 25% off your entire order. It's 25% off, right? It's that much? What a great deal. So 25% off with the discount code 1MC Westminster on your order at furnacehillscoffee.com. Okay, so up next is myself. I'm basically just presenting the Good Game Fest that Magic is hosting at the end of September. And this is going to be more of an extended community chat, because I don't have a formal presentation for Good Game yet. But this is the, so basically, for those who don't know, my organization, Magic, was set up by former council members from the city of Westminster to really kind of further the agenda and promotion of the gigabit fiber investment that the city made several years ago. And they knew at that time that there would need to be some sort of continued promotion and some other ways to develop to do workforce development and that sort of thing after that investment. So they established Magic, and Magic has since hosted several successful cybersecurity programs that teach beginners the basics of cybersecurity. We call them our Capture the Flag (CTF) competitions. We usually hold about 2 of those per year. And then we have our hackathons. We have an annual hackathon that Magic promotes, usually at either Carroll Community College or McDaniel College. Sometimes it switches. And that's like an app development competition, like a business plan competition. Mostly, it's available to anybody, but if you're students or adult students, and we tend to have really great representation from several universities and colleges from throughout the area. In fact, this last hackathon we had for the first time UNBC students registered and Johns Hopkins students registered. Our CTFs, by the way, are actually global, so it's one of the largest beginner CTF programs or competitions in the world. We have students from Estonia, which is, of course, Westminster, the city of Westminster's sister city, in case you didn't know that. That's why there's a Pi Day Way, I think that's how you pronounce it, downtown near City Hall. And students from Northern Ireland, from all across the U.S. as well, Idaho, other Ting communities, for example, because Ting's another sponsor of that event as well for us. And then we have pop-up classes for big data boot camps, like learning Python, learning about the basics of data science. We have an Arduino class that we're going to be bringing back again this year once the Exploration Commons opens at the library. We have a cybersecurity business conference as well that we started last year with Carroll Community College. That's coming back again this year. It's going to be November 12th at the community college. It's going to have several great speakers, including Ron Gula, who founded a big successful cybersecurity company in Howard County called Tenable. And he and his wife Cindy Gula started a great foundation called Gula Tech Adventures, where they've been investing in lots of nonprofits all across the world who teach cybersecurity skills. And then we have our Good Game Fest. So one of our newest initiatives is this event that I've got up here on the screen. If you go to ggfest.org, if you're at home watching this on Facebook Live, you go to the browser, ggfest.org, and you can kind of follow along or just kind of skip through it yourself at your leisure and see what it's all about. The event itself, we wanted to do this because as we looked at what are the different industries that really take advantage of high-speed internet and gigabit fiber, one of the industries that we found was the gaming industry and esports because latency is a big issue for gamers. And then also game development companies themselves have large data files, sometimes large animation files that need to be uploaded and downloaded as they're delivering and collaborating with other companies, similar with video production. So, and as we started turning over stones in the gaming industry to see what kind of gaming industry do we have locally, we found that not only did we have companies not far in Baltimore County, like in Hunt Valley and Timonium and Bethesda, some pretty well-known successful companies in the gaming industry. For those of you who don't know, like Sid Meier's Civilization. Sid Meier's from Maryland. Civilization was developed in Hunt Valley, Maryland. It was MicroProse was the name of the company originally. And as we started turning over those stones, we also realized there are some really illustrious alumni from out here in Westminster who either have lived here or went to McDaniel College or Western Maryland College at the time, including Greg Street, who's the lead developer of both World of Warcraft and now League of Legends at Riot Games. So, and he's actually going to be one of our speakers virtually. He'll be dialing in, so to speak, from California, but he'll have a message for everybody at the event at Good Game Fest for our conference sessions. So that just want to kind of give some background on why Magic has developed this gaming festival and why we want to bring attention to gaming, especially the local industry here in Maryland. And we also, just for myself as a parent, I've got 5 kids. I know I struggle with what should how many hours should I be letting them play, Fortnite or Minecraft or whatever. And I often feel guilty. I'm like, am I doing the right thing? Is this okay? Like, am I opening up some door to other kinds of addiction or, gamer rage or whatever else, may come of that. And as I started looking into what are healthy gaming habits and advice for parents on, how to help their kids have a healthy attitude towards gaming, I learned a lot of great things. And those are all things that we want to convey and we'll have information for at this festival as well. So it's not just a big tournament, because it's a tournament. I should probably talk about that first and foremost. We have 4 games that we're doing tournament play for throughout that weekend. Oh, by the way, it's September 24th, 25th, and 26th. We're going to have Mario Kart. That's going to be on the Sunday, the 26th. Super Smash Bros. I made the mistake of calling it Super Smash Brothers, and my 12-year-old laughed at me. He's like, brothers? I was like, sorry, Super Smash Bros.
Don't feel bad. I did the same thing and got corrected.
But they do know Bros is short for brothers, right? Anyway, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and Rocket League are going to be on Saturday, the 25th, and Fortnite is going to be on Friday, the 24th. So those are the 4 games that we have in the main tournament play. This will all going to be on consoles, on either Xboxes, Xbox Ones, or Nintendo Switches. I believe it's Super Smash Bros. And Mario Kart are on Nintendo Switches, right? And then Rocket League and Fortnite are going to be on the Xbox Ones. This will all be held at Town Mall in Westminster, Town Mall of Westminster. And our partners at Tables and Towers are going to be providing the event space for this within the mall. So they have, if you come to these meetings, you saw them present. I think it was one of our last presentations here together. They presented what they're doing at the mall with their board games, demonstrations and tournaments and event spaces with D&D and things like that. But the event space that is for console gaming and LAN parties and things like that, they're getting that back up and running. And this will be a nice way to kind of get that started again for them. And then for those of you who don't know or didn't hear that presentation, they are the former Battleground space that was in that same in those same retail spaces at the mall. We are also taking over some of the empty retail space for this event at the mall. So I believe it's the old Fanware store and then Christopher Banks store. We'll have the conference sessions in the Christopher Banks store, and we'll have a big pop-up arcade that's going to be completely provided by SavePoint, who you also saw present here. They're bringing all their dozens and dozens of these classic upright arcade games that they're bringing 3 trailers worth of games out to Town Mall. They're going to load them up in that Fanware space. So we're going to convert the old Fanware retail space into like a 80s retro arcade. It'll be pretty cool. And that'll be available to everyone to play, all you can play, sort of, so to speak, or free play, if you will, for all registered attendees. And then we're going to have live music. We're going to have a band from Baltimore called Quick Save. They, in fact, let me just move to that slide, things to do. We have Quick Save. They are like a jazz / orchestra band. They spun out of the Baltimore Symphony Gamer Orchestra, I think it was called. And they'll be performing on Saturday, several time slots on Saturday, specifically 11:30 a.m., 3:30 p.m., and 5:30 p.m. And then we'll have a whole lineup of EDM, electronic dance music DJs, thanks to Wisdom Court Entertainment, Wisdom Court Studios, for connecting us with those guys. And that's going to be Shake Fox, Nard, Genki, DJ Supersonic, Mogwai, and Callisto. I think I said those right. So, and that's just a start. There may be some others added to the calendar, and they'll be all performing on a stage in the common area, the central fountain of the mall, if you're familiar with the mall. And then we'll have vendors and tables throughout the mall as well for our sponsors and for different artists and people who sort of support the gamer community and the cosplay community. I think we're going to do a cosplay contest throughout the whole weekend with a photo. You get your photo taken, and then at the end on Sunday we'll have judges award a prize to the best costume, best cosplayer. There it is right there, cosplay costume contest. And one of the coolest things that's happening since we came up with the concept and announced it and started reaching out to different partners was that we've drawn the Baltimore Ravens out to Westminster, and they are going to be on site promoting their new Ravens Gaming League. So they've become a partner of this event, which is huge because I think Westminster really misses the Ravens since they no longer train at McDaniel like they used to. So hopefully this is a regular event, and maybe there's other opportunities to do more esports in Westminster after this event generates the excitement that we are expecting. So they'll be out here promoting that. They'll have Ravens tickets that they'll be giving out as prizes. So if you win some of our tournaments, there may be Ravens tickets included in the prize winnings. There will be cash prizes for the console tournaments. And the Ravens cheerleaders will be there, and the mascot Poe will be there on site, greeting fans. And so there'll be a big Ravens display along with a lot of information about the Ravens Gaming League. So if you're curious about that and want to learn more about what the Baltimore Ravens are doing for esports, then definitely come out and check that out. Tickets for this event are $20 for anyone 13 and over, and then 12 and under are all free with a paying adult or paying paid ticket. So if you're a parent and you've got 3 kids 12 and under, you'll pay for your ticket, and the 3 kids or however many kids you have are free. And then they can all register for the different gaming tournaments. So just because you're not a gamer doesn't mean you can't still get a ticket and then register maybe other kids that are in your family. The tickets are on sale now at Eventbrite through ggfest.org. And I think, do we still have our coupon code active right now, or did that end? Sorry, the early bird discount ended, but reach out to me. Maybe we can set one up again. And the VIP, 3-day VIP pass for $65, what that is to explain it, is that you get not only the 3-day pass, but then you get a a big swag bag full of stuff. It's all branded, good game, like very unique stuff that has been made for this event. Commemorative stuff, including commemorative pins, T-shirt in your size. We'll have all the different sizes there to stuff the bag with for you, and all sorts of cool stuff that are being provided by our different sponsors, including Ting and the Baltimore Ravens. So it's a good value. That's $65. Finally, last but not least, in terms of sort of the big highlights, is going to be our Good Game Biz Battle. So this will be the first tournament of its kind I'm aware of where our sponsors who have gamers on their staff will be able to compete in their own tournament for bragging rights, because it's all to support a good cause, to support Magic's nonprofit mission. But they'll be competing in all 4 games that I mentioned before, all on Sunday, and then the winning team, the winning company, winning sponsor, gets a giant, ridiculous trophy. It's like our version of the Stanley Cup. It's literally going to be about this big. It might get bigger the more we add to it. So that's going to be something.
Would it fit on that shelf over there?
No, but it'll fit on one at Ting.
It'll fit on the shelf in the middle next to the cabinet. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Rethink something.
I know what you think. So that'll be like our Stanley Cup for the competition, and each year as we add new winners to that, we'll actually get the sides of the trophy engraved with the names of the sponsors who won that year. So there's a lot on the line in terms of reputation for our sponsors and our Biz Battle competitors. And it's not too late. If you are watching this and you're thinking, oh, I want to participate in this, but it's too late, it's not too late. You can still sponsor the event. The minimum buy-in to have a team is $500. That's our friends level sponsor. And then we go all the way up to $10,000 depending on how much stuff you want to include. And here are all of the current sponsors and competitors of the Biz Battle so far. We have, of course, our organizing sponsors, Magic, Ravens Gaming League, Save Point, Tables and Towers. And then we have our other enchanted sponsors and friends, including Maryland Print House, Ting, Crazy Fast Fiber Internet, Gauge Digital Media, Skyline Technology Solutions, Startup Portal, where we are today, American Ice Company Cafe. By the way, I was there the other day. I heard the staff all talking about who was going to play Mario Kart, who was going to play. So, there's going to be some stiff competition. People are really strategizing who's going to play which games. Of course, our friends at Infinite Love Project, Tina and Eric are here right now with the Be Kind signs, and then Dynamic Dimension Technologies, who I also know are also very much plotting and strategizing which games their staff are all going to play. So it should be a lot of fun, all for a good cause. And I guess I'll stop there and see if you guys have any questions. Any questions? Rick?
The reach of, can you tell how far people are coming from though? Any sense?
Well, we just opened up registration for the tournament today. I guess I should have said that too. So the tournament registration opened today. You could have bought tickets ahead of time and you would have received a link to register, but that link wouldn't have worked until today. So, and we only really started advertising this starting this week as well. So we may have like a dozen or so, a couple dozen registrations at this point, but we're really just getting started. And actually, as part of our partnership with the Ravens on this, they've invited Magic to come out to Ravens Walk on September 19th at one of their games to promote Good Game Fest. So we're going to be doing that. And there'll be a lot of cross promotion both with Baltimore Ravens and with McDaniel College. So we'll be presenting this to students at the Involvement Day activities at McDaniel College. That's coming up next week. So we hope to see a lot of McDaniel students out as a result of that cross promotion with the college. But we were talking to Tables and Towers about how far do your current customers come out and play the board games? And they said there are times where they have tournaments where people travel 2 hours to Westminster to come to their tournament. So maybe it's the same. I know we'll have esports. Oh, I could talk about some of the speakers real quick too. We have some really cool speakers. Russ Hamer from Mount St. Mary's He leads their esports team. He'll be speaking about how to be an esports professional gamer and like what it takes in terms of skill, in terms of mental acuity, physical fitness, all that stuff. We have Jimmy H., who is a game designer who actually, we know Jimmy because he takes Magic's game development classes. And he has asked us not to say exactly the titles of his games because he is under 18 and we're trying to help him maintain some level of privacy. But his games have been played over 50 million times. I think he's got over 4 million subscribers on his Roblox channel. So he'll be talking about, on one of our panel discussions, about how to break into the gaming industry. So that would be really interesting to hear his perspective. We have Ben Cohn, who is the head coach at Springdale Prep at their esports program. They're, I think, the only high school esports program currently that's active in Carroll County, maybe even the whole Central Maryland region. And I know Carroll County Public Schools is looking to launch something soon, and they should be making some announcements about an esports program, hopefully this year. We have Mariam Nusrat from GRID, G-R-I-D, which stands for Gaming Revolution for International Development. She basically creates educational games. Again, kind of speaking to my earlier concern as a parent, like, well, what is this gaming culture leading to? Well, if you talk to people like Miriam and you talk to other speakers like Doug Watley, who's the CEO of Breakaway Games, they develop serious games for the Department of Defense and the military, you'll hear a whole different side of what the world of gaming looks like from their perspective in terms of opportunities and how games solve problems and how games can be used for training and simulation and things like that. So they'll both be speaking to those types of key points. And Doug Watley, the CEO of Breakaway Games here, he will be our keynote speaker for the event at Friday at 4 o'clock. All these conference sessions happen on Friday, starting at 4, by the way. They run from about 4 to 6. We also have Greg Street, who I mentioned earlier. He's the alumni from McDaniel who developed World of Warcraft, and he developed, is lead developer on League of Legends, among other credentials. And it was funny, his bio says something interesting I'm not aware of because I never played World of Warcraft. It says, for several years, he was best known for promising players a pony and nerfing Retribution Paladins, quote, to the ground, baby. So I guess that was under his pseudonym Ghostcrawler in World of Warcraft. So if you ever play World of Warcraft, you probably already know who he is from that reputation. Maybe you didn't know he was one of the developers of the game. So he'll be doing a virtual talk from California. Benjamin Walsh, he is a executive from A-List Games. A-List Games is a huge global marketing agency for the video game companies. For all the they rate game titles, and I've learned all of this, so I apologize if you know these things, but it's all like new knowledge for me. They do marketing for the AAA rated games. So I guess the top games that you would know by name are considered AAA, and there may even be like a new designation of quadruple A, I think. But they do like AAA and above, I guess, marketing for games. He's also a game developer from Westminster, and he started a company in Baltimore called Pure Bang Games, and that's actually how I know him. It's just through interacting with the Baltimore entrepreneurial community. And then Doug Watley, who I mentioned, and Jackie White from Big Huge Games. If you know Rise of Nations, that game, which was my jam many years ago, that is now called, that has evolved into a game called Dominations. And really, I think some of these games have civilizations in their DNA from Sid Meier from his earlier years. But anyway, so she's a developer, and she was telling me too that from her perspective, she got her degree, I think, in English or something like that at a liberal arts college. Well, McDaniel, she's another McDaniel alumni. And she had no idea. She had no intention of getting into gaming. So she'll have an interesting perspective as well during the conference about, you know, you don't have to set out to have a career in gaming to end up finding yourself being hired by a gaming company because of your skills, because you're a good storyteller or you're a good artist or whatever. You know, they really have there's a broad range of different types of roles within these development companies. And then her other associate from Big Huge Games, we don't have his picture in bio yet, but a guy named Luke Parr from Big Huge Games will also be on this panel. I think it's the only person we're missing, actually. So that's our lineup for the conference. It's really a comprehensive conference session. It'll be really quick. We'll have the keynote, we'll have the greeting from Greg Street, we'll have a panel discussion about how to break into the gaming industry, and then we'll have some flash talks about developing an esports program. Oh, that's what Ben Cohn's going to talk about from Springdale Prep, because he kind of designed their esports program. He'll be talking about how to start an esports program if you're a school or organization that wants to do that. And then Russ will be talking about how to become an esports professional. That was a tangent on other questions. I forgot we're in the Q&A phase of this presentation. So I apologize for that taking so long, but any other questions? Yes, Billy Alive from Listening Sport Entertainment.
What's up?
And Find Your Purpose.
Yes, thank you.
Our newest nonprofit here in Westminster.
Yes. Do you have flyers set up to go into the high schools and Gateway yet?
Yes, Gabby Rose here is nodding her head yes. Yeah, those will be printed this week. Yeah, and then we'll start handing them out.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Thank you for asking. In fact, we're putting a big banner on the side of the mall facing 140. So that's exciting too. So we'll be promoting that to people, just traffic on 140. In addition to all the flyers at schools, in addition to being at Ravens Walk, in addition to being set up at McDaniel as well. Tina Thomas from Infinite Love Project.
As a person who would tend to be outdoors versus indoors gaming,
Yeah.
Help me understand, even just geographically from a 2-hour drive standpoint, how much of the population is into gaming? Because this is like a new world to me too. So this is all fascinating as heck.
Yeah.
But so what are your expectations from age standpoint? Because I know my brother used to play a lot.
Yeah.
But what are you expecting?
Well, I think virtually everyone under a certain age, can claim a game that they think that they're good at. Like
Okay.
Mario Kart or Fortnite or League of Legends. So it's become much more, in terms of the culture, that's from what I've learned. Because, I'm Generation X. Growing up, you had your Nintendo, you had your Sega. And if you didn't have those things, then you probably weren't really into games, or you went to the arcade and you kind of had an off and on relationship with games. But these days, with a lot of them being browser based and app based, everyone has access to games, and a lot of them are free for kids to play. So, like Fortnite, for example, you can go on and create a profile with Epic Games, and you set yourself up, and a browser and a computer, you can start playing. So the barrier to entry to having a love affair with games is much lower than it was when we were kids. So I think that's part of the reason why it's so ubiquitous right now. So basically it's everybody. Like when we think about the market, it's basically everybody under a certain age. Not to be ageist and to say that people over a certain age aren't gamers. There are plenty of gamers over, in my generation and up, but it's much more ubiquitous, for like Generation Z, for example.
And then if you could speak just a little bit to the games that have been chosen and why, because I know like Candy Crush, I understand Candy Crush, and then there's always Solitaire, which is, universal. But so why these games? Why the big
both Candy
draw
Crush
on
and
these?
Solitaire? I don't know if there's tournament play on either of those.
Well, see, and
That's
like
what
the chess can be a tournament, but so help me understand
well,
that.
no, they were chosen based on popularity and based on rating. We didn't want anything mature, like we didn't want Call of Duty or anything too violent, because we're also trying to promote a certain level of, we don't want to get into the weeds with a debate about violence in games. Probably the most violent game the kids will be playing will be Fortnite, because there are animated guns involved, but there's no blood or gore or anything like that that's animated. So it was a combination of the maturity rating and then the popularity. And then also based on the platforms, because we have Nintendo Switches and we have Xbox One. So we wanted to make sure those we could play the games on either of those two platforms. So that's the Venn diagram if you're sort of imagining it. And right in the center are those 4 games. There's a couple others we could have chosen, but we didn't want to get too sprawling with it. But.
Okay.
Did you have a question? Or was that just stretching? Were you stretching? Just stretching. Are you on Fortnite right now? No, okay.
I think it was Pokemon Go, right?
Pokemon Go? Pokemon Go. That's another one, actually. Yeah, any other questions?
We have stuff on Facebook.
Oh, yeah. What's the question?
Well, first, Cam asked that I mention volunteers, and you can sign up to be a volunteer on the GG Fest website. And she said, we will feed you, and you will get a swag bag, and then you can enjoy the festival for the rest of the weekend if you do sign up to be a volunteer.
Yeah, and if anyone who couldn't hear that, yes, please go to ggfest.org, go to Get Involved, volunteer section, and you'll get a free pass to the festival if you are willing to help volunteer at the event with us.
What ages are you looking for? Like, what's the youngest?
I think Kim is looking for 18 years of age and older.
18 years of age or older, right. Able to join moderator Discord channel. Volunteers may be asked to assist other areas beyond their original sign-up time, willing to answer questions from attendees. Volunteers are required to follow the same rules as attendees. So we have a code of conduct, in other words. Volunteers cannot share their volunteer badge with anyone else. Volunteers should treat all volunteer staff and attendees with respect, courtesy, and dignity. Also, the name Good Game, for those of you who don't know, and again, this may be a generational thing, the reason why we chose the name Good Game is because Good Game, or GG, is the common sort of like, what you say after a game, or you say hey, GG or Good Game, G Gamer, and I probably sound like a boomer or whatever, saying it like that, like saying Super Smash Brothers instead of Super Smash Bros. But just to clarify, that's where the name comes from. Is that in gaming culture, Good Game is like a nice way of saying, well, good game at the end of a game. And so we felt like, that is already an indication of good sportsmanship, and we want to amplify those values at this festival. Any other questions from Facebook?
Yeah, just one from Jenna. She said, are you planning on marketing the event on social media?
Absolutely. We have a dedicated Magic Good Game Fest Facebook channel, for example. We haven't gotten too far with other networks, but we'll be marketing it through Magic's own Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. So if you follow either Magic or Good Game Fest on Facebook, you will get all of the pertinent updates. And we're working with Advantage Internet Marketing, who's been our partner for a long time at Magic and donated lots of hours to our cause. They are doing a great job of creating, the social media assets and campaigns to help promote all of our programs, including Good Game Fest. Any other questions? Yeah, Scott Singleton from Burke.
Stream any of the event, mentioned social media, but streaming a little bit of maybe the presentations or the actual activities, the gaming activities?
Absolutely, yes. Magic has a Twitch channel that we were using for our CTFs previously before the pandemic. I think that's what we'll probably end up using. Kim Samuelson, who's watching us on Facebook Live, is probably yelling at me through the camera to say something else about that, but I'm pretty sure we'll use Twitch. She's saying something now.
Facebook
I'm
Live.
waiting.
If you have Facebook channels already for GG Fest.
Well, right. So we don't. Yeah, there are certain platforms where you can broadcast one at a time, and some two at a time. I'm not exactly. Like, for example, we're using this Mevo right now to broadcast to Facebook Live.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure if we can broadcast to both Twitch and Facebook Live accounts at the same time. I think you usually have to pay extra for the privilege of doing multi-simulcasts across different channels. Any other questions? Comments? All right, well, I hope to see you all at Good Game Fest. Again, it's ggfest.org. Thanks for listening.
Did we do what can
What's that?
what can 1MC do to help you?
Oh, right. Oh, we didn't ask Vicky that either. Ugh. It's because we were on a break for too long. Share the event. I'm sure likewise with Vicky and the Ting gaming tournaments. Follow us on social media, follow Ting Internet, follow Magic or Good Game Fest. Help get the word out. And especially if you, for our tournament at the end of September, if you know anyone who's a gamer, absolutely tell them. And people who are, what I also found out in speaking with some of the esports programs, is that some of these students who are good at playing these games, they don't necessarily want a career in gaming necessarily, like as an esports as a player, but they might have an interest in game development or working in the world of games. A lot of them don't know what they're going to do when they graduate. So, hopefully the conference portion of this event will help highlight some career paths for people who just have a passion for games and kind of had no idea, I like gaming and I'm a good artist or whatever. I didn't realize I could go look for jobs at gaming companies where they're looking for like concept artists and things like that, or graphic designers. That seems obvious, but there are other things like storytelling, being a good writer, creative writer, things like that. Just being someone who's good at managing things and a good organizer, like a game producer. Like there's so many skill sets that are applicable in the gaming industry. So hopefully this event helps to draw those out and show people where their interest in games can take them. All right, well with that, I'll say thank you. And then I'll bring up Tina Thomas from Infinite Love Project to close us out.
Yay, thank you, Graham. Thank you, Vicki. It's so great to be back in person, to listen to what's happening in our community, what our entrepreneurs are doing, get to see you guys live and in person again. And I highly encourage anybody who is an entrepreneur, your business is 5 years old or younger, and you're still figuring it out, you're not sure where you are, or you absolutely know where you are and you need some assistance, you need to make community connections. That's what 1MC is all about. That's why we're here. We have Scott Singleton with Burke, the Business and Employment Resource Center here in Westminster. He's been invaluable to us at Infinite Love Project in our business, where we are with our growth. The same with Startup Portal, our CFO Rick. We couldn't live without him at this point. And it's all about community and support. So go to 1millioncups.com/Westminster and sign up to be a presenter. If you don't have a deck, I didn't know what a deck was either, it's a PowerPoint presentation. It's something visual to help everybody understand where you are and what you're doing, so that you can say, here's where I'm not sure, and how can you help me? We're here for you. We'll help you figure it out. So go to the website, sign up, and hopefully we'll see you here next week. I didn't do my homework. I'm not sure who the presenters are, but hey, we're gonna, figure it out together. Have a great week.